Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for the Season 2 premiere of Orphan Black Season 2, Episode 1, Nature Under Constraint and Vexed. And I could not wait for this premiere. I mean, after I saw Season 1, I was just really looking forward to this premiere. And it was absolutely amazing. I loved this episode, especially the ending of this episode. I mean, that is what I call a season premiere. I mean, this episode had everything a season premiere should have. It was a perfect season premiere. And Orphan Black still is one of my top 5 shows. And I said this in my review that it's one of my top 5 shows. It's one of the shows that I cannot wait for every single week. And I have a feeling that this season is going to be like 10 times better than the last one. But let's just get to it. So, right away, we had some really intense chaos going on. As we know, the season ended with Sara not knowing where Kira is, and she's running in the rain right after, basically, this is supposed to be right after she found out that, Kira was taken, and she's calling Felix. She does not know where Felix is. He doesn't pick up, and she tells him that they took Kira and her stepmother, and she decides to go into a diner to sit down, and she tries to call Alison, but the number has been disconnected, so has Casima's, so she decides to call Paul, but he doesn't pick up. She has no idea what's going on at this point, because no one is answering her calls. She pulls out the photo of the scientist from her pocket when Rachel calls, and Rachel, that's basically our big villain this season, we thought, and I'll get a little bit, I'll get to how I feel about Rachel, but basically, Rachel tells her that Sara needs to surrender herself if she wants to see Mrs. S or Kira, and Sara doesn't make a deal. The two men walk into the bar, one of them sits down in her booth, and another takes the gun that Sara had hidden in her pocket, and they claim that they're there to take her to Kira. One of them shoots the owner at the diner, another gets shot by the owner before he falls, and so Sara runs in the kitchen, basically just terrified at this point. She doesn't know what to think. She hides in the bathroom, but there are no windows. So she takes a fire extinguisher, slams it into the wall to break through it, and she runs away. So right away, as I said, there's some really intense stuff going on, and that was a very well done scene. So Sara goes to a gay bar to looking for Felix, and there's Felix. He was about to have some orgy with guys, and he's high in this scene. I thought it was pretty funny. Any scene that Felix is in just ends up being pretty funny. And Sara tells him, Sara tells him exactly what's going on. He thinks it might be Helena, but Sara says she's pretty sure that she's gone and doesn't tell him that she shot her. And Paul calls her and says Sara needs to come in if she wants to talk to Mrs. S, but she won't. So she'll only meet with Paul as long as they're alone, and she realizes they're tracking her pink phone, so she gets rid of it and steals another. So then Sara calls Paul and tells him, so basically then what happens is Felix visits Alison, asks her for some guns, but she tells him she keeps them at the shooting range in her locker. She doesn't want to use guns or register with her because her life is just getting back to normal, and a little bit more with Alison later, but she tells Felix to have Sara meet her at the community theater later that day. So Sara calls Paul, and Paul, Sara tells him that to meet on a bridge, and a kid gives him a phone. Sara calls it. Paul says that tomorrow morning Rachel is getting on a private plane with Kira, and that there's a big event at the DYAD that Rachel's going to be at, and she should come. So during the call, the DYAD Institute men track Sara, but she gets away before they reach her. By the way, each time they're revealing that, each time we saw her saying, Rachel's the one that did this, I kept thinking Rachel probably is not the one that kidnapped, Kira, because I think that I kept thinking that'd just be way too predictable, and, I just kept thinking in my mind, Rachel did not kill Kira. I have a feeling it was definitely someone else that killed Kira, and, we'll get to that later, but basically then what happens is, Sara calls Felix, who's with Casima, and she wants their advice. Casima says that Delphine wanted her to go to a DYAD event as well, but Sara thinks they should sit tight. So then what happens is, after this, Sarah's walking up to Art, and Angie gets out of the car to arrest her before Alison could get out and give Sara the guns. So Sara gets arrested. So Rachel tells Leaky she needed his office because there are people that are coming to see her, and she tells Paul that they're going to Tywin on Tuesday. So when Paul leaves, Dr. Leaky wants to know if she really kidnapped Sara's people, and she says the less he knows about it, the better. And Rachel says that Daniel will recover Sara, and it's none of his concern. She's pretty much implying that she did not do it. I'm pretty sure, that she did not do it. So Art takes Sara to a crime scene where the men get shot at the dinner, and Sara tells him that the DYAD took her daughter. He says he'll put on another Amber Alert, but she says that the people who took her are getting powerful. He wants to know where she was going to tell, what she was going to tell her, but Angie comes in and tells them that the feds are there. Art lets Sara go and tells Angie she almost trusts him. So, she calls, Rachel, but gets Daniel instead, who speaks for her. Sara says she'll meet Daniel at 9 p.m., and will be, driving the red minivan, so Daniel's guys attack Alison instead, while Sara sneaks into the DYAD. So Sara shows up at the event dressed like Cosima. This was actually a really well done scene. And she spots Paul and a bunch of other men going into a basement. But she gets distracted by Delphine, who meets up with her. And she has to pretend to be Cosima. This is the first time that Sara has pretended to be someone, and it doesn't work. I feel like all these other times when Sara has pretended to be, like, say, when she pretended to be, Beth, it was very believable. But this time, when she's pretending to be, Cosima, it just does not work. And I think it's because she just doesn't know Cosima as well. And Dr. Leakey approaches, and Sara says she won't sign the contract, and Dr. Leakey says it's up to her. And she says she wants her own lab. As they hug, she steals his access card. And Delphine quickly figures out that Cosima is Sara, and tells her where Rachel's offices are, and Rachel's meeting with the men from earlier, and updates them on the status of their project. And when they leave, Sara walks into her office, tells her she wants Kira. Rachel says that their house was ransacked by the time the Institute got there, and she doesn't have Kira or Mrs. S. So right away, she tells her that, and, she tells her that right now. So Sara knocks Rachel out just before Paul arrives, who eventually lets her go, because, she did not do anything to, she did not do this to, I thought it was pretty big when I knew that Rachel wasn't the one that did it, but she didn't do anything to, Kira or Miss S. But the interesting thing is Paul. I don't really know where Paul is going. I will get to, that, but then the biggest reveal of this episode, I love the way they end this episode. We're starting to think about who else could have done it, because we know that Rachel couldn't have done it. And Sara shows up at Art's place, tells him that someone else took Kira, but Art says he knows. And the feds say that the cowboy who got shot was a Prolethean religious extremist like Helena. And it turns out that Helena is at the hospital. She's still alive. And yeah, Helena is still alive. And she was the one that kidnapped Kira and Sara and Felix's stepmother. So Helena's alive. And I knew that Helena was not dead. Because when they said a character that we thought was dead is coming back, I'm like, it's gonna be Helena. Because as creepy as Helena is, she's an amazing character. She does a great job with her character. And definitely just, her whole storyline was fantastic, I think. I think hers was definitely really well done. But that was so, so good when we found that Helena's still alive, because now Helena's out to get Sara, and this is basically her revenge. And Caden LaPlante and I, he's now known as, the Kid is Awesome. He and I, discussed this in our prediction video, and we both said that we think that Helena was the one that was coming back, and that she was gonna be alive, and now she is alive, so, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what happens there. But then we see, let's go to Alison's plot, because Alison had some stuff to do in this episode as well. So, as we know, as I said, Felix visits Alison. Alison's main thing that she's doing now is that she's doing a musical. And, Alison says she might be able to get them an unregistered firearm from her friend, Ramon. And, what's happening is Alison meets up with Ramon at an Economart, who is apparently a drug dealer. And he shows her the multiple guns, and she goes for the lady grip before asking him about his mother. So, we're at the community theater. Alison's rehearsing for a musical, and Art walks in and then walks away. And this is very interesting. He meets up with Angie back in the car, and she's upset that all the people they were investigating got stuck with the model citizen and singing clone. And basically, they're just trying to gather some information about Alison. And, that's when Sara gets arrested, because Alison could not, get out and give Sara the guns. She just didn't have, she couldn't. She didn't get to. She just didn't get to it. And, basically, Alison, gives Sara the gun through her, she gives Sara that present, the gun through a present, basically. She gets Ramon to come. It was definitely actually kind of a funny way, Ramon answers the door with these flowers, and inside the flowers, there's the gun. And, basically, Alison said she couldn't be there to deliver the gun, and Cosima thinks they need a plan before they go to the event, and Alison agrees via video chat, so basically that's what they decide to do. And that's why Sara was dressed up like Cosima, because that was their plan, basically. And the very end of the episode, we kind of saw, Alison get a little bit dark, because the end of the episode, what happens is, there are these guys from the DYAD that are supposed to attack Sara, but they attack Alison, and she kills one of them, so Alison is now on a very violent, darker Alison. I'm interested in seeing this darker side of Alison. I wonder what's going to happen there with her character, because I like where her character's going. I don't know what exactly is going to happen with her character, but whatever happened, she just killed someone, and it's definitely going to be really intense to see what happens there. But that's all that was going on with Alison. And the only other thing we have to talk about is Cosima. Cosima, not too much going on there. Basically, Cosima and Delphine are at Sara and Delphine are at Sara's, and Delphine is getting some of her blood to diagnose. Delphine still works for the DYAD Institute, and she wants Cosima to come in there so they can help. But Cosima doesn't want to. She wants to go to the research herself. And what ends up happening is Cosima is facing the same respiratory problems as the other clones. Basically, all that was really going on there was just Cosima helping out Sara and Alison. There wasn't too much going on with Cosima in the episode. All we really see is that Cosima and Delphine, they're starting to have a really nice relationship, so I hope their relationship works out. But that was the episode, and it was absolutely amazing. It was a perfect premiere. I love the premiere. I love this Season 2 premiere. It really was a fantastic episode. And a couple things I do want to say, though, about this episode. There are quite a few things that I want to discuss. First off, Paul. Let's first talk about Paul being, going with Rachel. I'm interested in seeing where they're going with Paul's character. I thought that Paul was going to stay with Rachel, with Sara, and be on Sara's side 100%. Now, it kind of seems like that's not the case, and he's going to, be on Rachel's side. So I'm thinking that, Paul's starting to turn against Sara, which is definitely going to be interesting to see what happens there. I'm interested in seeing if he actually ends up turning against Sara, and what's going to end up happening there, because I definitely think that's going to be really, really interesting if he does turn against Sara. And I actually don't like Paul's character anymore. I mean, I liked his character for what he did in Season 1, but now that he's turning against Sara, I officially don't like his character, and I feel like Paul's gonna die by the end of this season, because since Paul's working with Rachel, we don't really know what Rachel wants exactly, and also, Rachel's not the best villain on the show. She's definitely not as good as Helena. Like, definitely, if Rachel and Helena are in a fight, she's gonna die. I have a feeling Rachel's gonna die, because now that you have Helena back, Helena will just kill whoever she wants to. And also, my other question is, what did Helena do with Kira and Sara's mom? Honestly, they could be dead right now. Because, as we know, Helena is so deeply disturbed and so disturbing and everything that I think she would kill them. But if she were to, I think it'd be, like, right in front of Sara. Because, again, this is all revenge for Sara killing her. So I think that could have easily happened, too. And also, what's happening with Alison? She's going down this downward spiral. Not really downward spiral, but she's sort of getting very violent. I don't know what's happening with Alison, and it looks like in the next episode she's going to regret killing the person that she killed. I'm definitely very interested in seeing what's going to happen there with with Alison's character. We also saw, that not only is what was I going to say? Oh, we also saw that Sara, is still getting very rebellious, because I think the thing is she's suffering from separation anxiety from Kira, without Kira and her stepmother. She's just suffering from separation anxiety, and she wants to, know where they are. I feel like that's going to be the big plot of the season. But I guess we'll just have to see what else happens in this season. overall, this was an amazing premiere. I loved everything about this premiere. Nothing wrong with it. Definitely, it's going to be a great season. I cannot wait to see what else happens this season. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. What will happen now that Helena is back? Does Sara know that Helena is back? They did not say word for word that Helena is back. All that Art said to her is that it's someone like Helena, so we don't know if Helena is actually back or not. Also, what's going on with Paul? Is Paul on Sara or Rachel's side? Do you think that Paul is going to turn against Sara? I'm not really sure what's going to happen there. Do you think that Rachel... What do you think of Rachel's character? Personally, I think she's going to end up dead. Alison, what's going to happen with her? Also, Cosima, I don't know what's happening with her either. But that's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for, Once Upon a Time and Game of Thrones. So see you guys for that. Bye.